This is Valley News Live at 10.
Good evening. I am Nashay Taylor. Thank you for joining us. For the second time this month, a religious institute in the Fargo-Moorhead area has been a target in a hateful act. Racial slurs and hateful messages were spray painted outside of an Islamic mosque in Moorhead during the holy month of Ramadan. Valley News Team's Aaron Walling is in the studio live with more information. Aaron?
Thanks, Nashay. I was out at the Moorhead Fargo Islamic Center Mosque, where one man's hateful message is another community's opportunity to come together and reject it.
So such individual, as I've said, please come, show yourself, don't operate in darkness. Come, in light and let us talk.
Outside the Moorhead Fargo Islamic Center Mosque, an individual left hateful messages like "Go to hell" and "Death to Islam," even leaving a swastika on the ground in front of the entrance. Moorhead police said the hate crime took place after 11:30 last night.
Well, what I want to say is that hate has no home in Moorhead. This is unacceptable. This is not okay. This is not what our community is about. This is something that is going to not make our community weak. It's going to make our community stronger.
Oh, I'm embarrassed for the community, and it just really saddens me and our family and other people I know that it's so unfortunate and so unnecessary.
MPD and the FBI have an open investigation into the incident, and they're looking for this individual. The Moorhead community came out to the mosque to show their support.
And I'm not surprised that people showed up. They always show up.
Right, one person's hate doesn't represent our community, and so everyone gathering here on such short notice is really just to say that we support our Muslim neighbors, that we love them, we're glad they're here, and we're going to fight against this, and we're going to help to fix it.
Although several members of the community showed up to help clean, they were asked to wait until tomorrow as Moorhead PD and the FBI conduct their investigation. Now, once again, Moorhead PD and the FBI are looking for the individual in this photo. He is a suspect in the investigation, and if you have more information, please contact the Red River Dispatch at 701-451-7660. Now, Nashay, the cities of Fargo, West Fargo, Horace, Dilworth, and Moorhead put out a unified statement denouncing the criminal acts that took place. A Facebook page has been set up for the cleanup efforts, as well as a GoFundMe page. The cleanup is slated to start at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Back to you.
Thanks so much, Aaron. Thanks so much. The Cass County Sheriff is asking Minnesota Governor Tim Walz for an amendment to a statute governing use of force. Out of transparency, Sheriff Jesse Johners shared his letter to Walz on his Facebook page today. The new deadly force statute for Minnesota law enforcement officers brought confusion and concern for officers on both sides of the river. It's left Minnesota officers in the valley with less backup to call upon. Minnesota officers were only given an 11-day heads up that the statute was going into effect, leaving agencies with little time to try to figure out how to interpret or train their officers on it. Since the statute went into effect, both Fargo and West Fargo police, along with the Cass County Sheriff's Office, suspended all operations in Minnesota. Meanwhile, a little after 11 this morning, the Bemidji Fire Department responded to a report of a structure fire on the 1100 block of 12th Street Northwest. Once on the scene, firefighters found a fully involved fire, which took 2 hours and 16 firefighters to put it out. The structure was deemed a total loss. One person ended up in the hospital after the accidental discharge of a shotgun Saturday night. Grand Forks Police Department responded to the call around 8:15 p.m. and were dispatched to the 2400 block of 34th Street. Police say the operator was trying to place a lock on the trigger when it accidentally went off. At the time, the gun was in the trunk of a car. The round went through the side of the trunk and hit another person in the leg. The man who was shot was taken to an area hospital and was treated for his injuries. And just after midnight, the Towner County Sheriff's Office responded to a 911 call of a person shot in Cando, north of Devil's Lake. When deputies arrived to the scene, they discovered 15-year-old Logan Corday had been shot in the abdomen. First aid measures were attempted, but Corday did not survive his injuries. After further investigating, it determined Corday was attempting to get a rifle from the trunk of his car when the loaded firearm discharged. According to deputies. Corday was a freshman at North Star Public High School in Can-Do. President Joe Biden will give his first speech before Congress on Wednesday as a new poll shows more than half of Americans approve of the president's first 100 days in office. But several challenges still await the president. Jennifer Johnson has more.
President Biden spent a working weekend in Delaware ahead of his first address to a joint session of Congress. The president will push lawmakers to pass the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, days after former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was convicted of killing Floyd.
I don't want just one verdict. I want to see systemic change, what would be good for everyone.
Among the other expected topics the president is likely to address, expanding access to health care, more economic aid for Americans struggling in the pandemic, and passing stricter gun control laws, something Linda Sue Smolin, who's paid for this billboard in Colorado, is pushing for.
Things were very different in 1791 when the Second Amendment was written. That's what I want them to take away.
A new NBC News poll shows 53% approve of the president's job so far, 39% disapprove. The president was given his lowest marks for handling the immigration surge, but high marks for dealing with the pandemic, as vaccine hesitancy grows, leading to concerns about achieving herd immunity.
And clearly, if we're going to be able to put COVID-19 behind us, we need to have all Americans take part in getting us to that point.
1 in 5 Americans still say they likely won't get vaccinated, while federal health officials say it is the only way back to normal life. Jennifer Johnson, NBC News, Washington.
The president's speech has been designated a national security event, and there will be extra security at the Capitol after the January 6th riot. Meanwhile, it's every parent's worst nightmare after losing a child they carried to term. A Fargo couple is sharing their story and starting an organization to help grieving families all over the valley. Addie's Angels has counselors in Fargo, Grand Forks, and the Waprick area. They also have online services.
How can we honor our daughter moving forward? And that's when the conversation really started. Once we had the funeral, once we were able to just start really thinking of how we can start doing things to give back to our community, that's when Addie's Angels, the name, actually started to form.
For more information about Addie's Angels, download the VNL News app.
If you've been through something, don't be afraid to tell the truth. Don't be afraid to tell your truth.
April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and according to the National Sexual Assault Hotline, an American is sexually assaulted every 73 seconds. Tonight, one woman is sharing her story in hopes of inspiring others caught in a bad situation. Valley News Team's Courtney Lockie has the story.
Valerie Valentino sees herself as a survivor, not a victim, but getting to that point took time.
I felt like I lost everything I had and I was so scared. So I just didn't feel like I was safe to speak up.
After coming to North Dakota, she says her relationship took a turn for the worst. Valerie says she never imagined she'd be the kind of woman to stay in an abusive situation, and she certainly never thought others would look the other way.
I spoke up and bad things happened to me for telling the truth.
Valerie says she turned to the people at her gym for help. They didn't believe her. When she went to police, they couldn't charge him.
And I realized that there is a problem because I came forward and there's a lot of people that don't believe me, no matter how much proof or evidence you have.
The National Sexual Assault Hotline says 1 out of 6 women will be sexually assaulted at some point. But out of 1,000 assaults, 995 perpetrators will walk free. Valerie says it's dangerous to not have accountability.
If more women aren't afraid to speak up and tell the truth, then more men will think twice before abusing us.
Valerie is in a safe place now, surrounded by loved ones. She's also in a healthy relationship with a baby on the way. It took some time for her to share her story, but she's hoping it's one that will inspire others. Courtney Lockie, Valley News Live.
If you or someone you know is in a similar situation and is in need of help, we have resources on our website. Coming up on Valley News Live at 10, gas prices are going up. We'll tell you by how much when we come back. And summer will be in with another look at the forecast.